Thank you very
refinement.
much, Madam Chair Velasquez and Ranking Member Lukemeyer for holding this hearing. For over a year, members of this committee have called on Treasury Secretary Yellen to meet her legal and statutory obligation to appear before this committee and speak on matters related to COVID-19 relief loans. While some may view this requirement to be pointless so much time later, I can assure you that those small businesses around this country who have watched their margins shrink in this volatile economy care. What small businesses understand, which this administration apparently does not, is that amidst record high inflation and rising costs of capital, every fraudulent dollar that went to a criminal pocket was a dollar taken away from a deserving small business. For the lifeblood of our economy, this is just another signal from this administration of their indifference to the economic standing of our smallest employers. While President Biden may look to the other ways of regarding this inflation-ridden economy, we simply cannot. Tomorrow, we will likely see the second quarter GDP report indicate that we've just recorded another quarter of negative growth in the economy, which is typically an indicator of a technical recession. And as if they were anticipating an abysmal report, the White House released a blog post Monday arguing that 2 straight quarters of negative growth no longer indicates a recession. And while Secretary Yellen may not have time to follow the rule of law, she stated in her interview on Sunday that our economy was not in a recession, but in a period of transition in which growth is slowing. While this administration would rather debate semantics than admit that their policies have devastated our economy, small businesses are struggling. And even if every major news outlet may hold the water for this administration's economic misdealings, let's set the record straight. As Michael Strain of AEI has pointed out, 10 recessions were declared in the last 10 times we've had experienced a consecutive quarterly decline. That fact seems straightforward to most people. And if you needed another sign, times are getting tougher. Retail giant Walmart lowered its profit outlook Monday due to consumers having to redirect money usually spent on leisure goods to afford highly inflated food and fuel costs. Every administration official and member of this Congress has seen the evidence that this economy is in a rough spot. Hopefully, they're in touch with the communities and constituents they represent to understand the perils consumers have faced over the last year. But unfortunately, based on the actions Democrats are planning to take, I fear they have not. I want to be very clear. Republicans will continue to combat the Democrats' plan to spend hundreds of billions of new reconciliation package, and they will continue to fight their planned increases on the small businesses which they claim to support. I appreciate all of the witnesses being here today. And Mr. Griffith, I know that you wanted to respond to the last question. In addition to potentially childcare not being available, what impact do you think forcing kids to stay home from school, forcing people to get vaccinated against their will or lose their job, and ridiculously high gas prices have affected these million people who've not been able to get back to work?
Thank you for that question. Well, in relation to families with children, a lot of the new data are actually showing that those are the individuals most likely to have returned to work. They need to supply resources to their families. They've found a way to get back to work. What we see is that the real drawbacks now over unemployment has been, like I said, the families that are still drawing down on all the resources the federal government provided, well-intentioned maybe, but still families are drawing down on those resources. Then the second of all, the fact that working pays less than before. A middle-class family right now, they're earning $3,000 less per year in real terms because of this inflation that was caused by these shutdowns and by all the money printing that we undertook in order to pretend that shutdowns don't have economic consequences.
How much do you think that reckless spending by this administration has contributed to the inflation that the country is experiencing today?
Oh, it's definitely exacerbated. And let's remember, this started several years ago when Democrats and some Republicans teamed up together to paper over the impact of the shutdowns. But this administration has doubled down on those mistakes. We knew this was going to be a problem. We had left-wing and right-wing economists that were saying if you print money to pay for massive expansion of government spending, there will be inflationary results, and this administration chose to double down on those mistakes.
I've been talking a lot about how much regulations cost. Can you share with the committee the impact that regulatory costs have had on small businesses, especially in our current economic climate?
Oh, yeah, regulations in general, and a lot of these regulations are related to the energy sector. We know that over the years, the Green New Deal has not been able to be passed by Congress. And prior administrations, including the Obama administration or the Biden administration, they're trying to implement that regulatory package. They're trying to do that through executive order and through the rules-making process. And that is driving up costs. And on the energy front, that has indirect costs too on the manufacturing sector because we're driving up energy costs on a lot of these smaller factories.
I appreciate it.
Time
Thank you
has
very much. I yield back.
expired. And now